Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be going over part 2 of deep links, and as part of that we're going to be covering how you actually get a deep link to navigate you to a certain screen from a push notification. Now if you haven't seen part 1 yet, go ahead and be sure to watch that one too so that you'll know exactly where we're picking up at on this project. And with that, let's learn together. So here we are back in our project from part 1. Now, one thing we need to do for dealing with push notifications is we first have to ask the user permission to receive push notifications. So let's go ahead and let's do that. Let's add a new VStack here around our view, and then we'll just add a button right up top, and on that button we will say that this is to request push notifications. There we go. Now, you may remember from the push notification video that in order to ask for permission for notifications, we need to call our UN user notification center .current.request authorization, and then we need to pass in the alert badge and sound. And because we aren't actually going to be using anything with push notifications other than just to allow them, then we are fine to just leave our button alone here and actually not use anything in the closure. Now let's make sure that this is working first by running our app in the simulator, and then we will actually request notifications and we'll click allow. There we go. And now we should have an option in our settings for our demo deep links app, and there we go. We've got permissions for push notifications turned on. Alright, and with that we are ready to move on to the next step. So let's go ahead and create a custom app delegate again. So for now we'll just keep it in the same main app file that we've got our navigation manager in. So just up at the top we will say that we want to we actually need one more import, so let's go ahead and do that. And the import that we need for this is our user notifications. There we go. Now let's go ahead and create a class for our custom app delegate, and this will conform to our NS object and our UI application delegate, and we also want it to conform to the UN user notification center delegate, just like that. Now the first thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and give our app delegate access to our app. And so we will say that we will create a var app, and this will be of type demo deep links app, just like that. There we go. And now we're ready to go ahead and creating the functions that we need for our custom app delegate. So the first method that we'll go ahead and create and use is our did finish launching with options. Did finish launching with options. There we go. And we will return true. And then before we return true, we want to set our custom app delegate as the delegate for our user notification center. So we will say that we want our UN user notification center.current.delegate to be ourself. There we go. And then the next method we actually need to use is our did receive response method here. And so for right now we will just print that we got a response, and we'll print what that response was. There we go, just like that. Now let's go ahead and test that this is working. We'll go back to our project navigator and press Command N to create a new file. And we'll create a new empty file, and we'll select the last one down here in the other category, and this will be our sample push.apns, Apple Push Notification Service. And if you remember, this is a JSON file, and so we'll open it up with our curly brackets. And the first item that we need in this list is our simulator target bundle, and this value is going to be our bundle ID. So let's go back over to our project settings, and we will grab this same bundle ID that we used for our deep link setup here, and we'll go back to our main app and paste that in. our sample push notifications and paste that in. There we are. And then we'll create an APNS object, or an APS object. And this object will accept an alert. And our alert will take a title of testing push notifications and a body of subscribe to the channel. There we are. And now there's one last thing that we want to go ahead and do, and we want to add one more property to our APNS file here, and that is we will create a deep link property. Let's just spell it all lowercase there, a deep link property, and this property will be our URL. Now, if you remember, in our setup here for our deep links, we have a URL scheme, and the scheme requires the URL to start with testing deep links. So we will paste that there, :// and then I like to use the first parameter, which is the host parameter, as our URL component. And again, if you aren't familiar with URL components, check the video out that we did on that earlier. And then we will pass in dog9, and then we'll close our brackets, our parentheses there. And with that, we should be actually ready to run our app and check that our sample push notification works. So let's go ahead and we will rerun it. And then we will slide the simulator over just a little bit. And let's put the app in the background and try sending our push notification by just dragging and dropping it onto the simulator. There we go. Cool. And if we click on it, it opens the app. Nice. All right. So now that we've got our push notifications set up, we are actually ready to use our deep link setting in our APNS file here to actually deep link us to a specific screen in our app. So let's dive into that next. So in order to do that, let's go back over into our main app file where we are printing that we got a response. Because now it looks like something may have gone wrong there because it says failed to open and we actually didn't get a print from our response. And I think I know what's going on. So we actually told our app delegate to listen and connect to our app, but we didn't actually tell our app to connect back to our app delegate. So now let's go ahead and connect our app back to our app delegate. And we will do that by using the UI application delegate adapter. And we will call that var app delegate. And now we will say .on appear of our view. We want our app delegate.app to be this app. So the app delegate for our app will be the one that we have here. Very cool. Okay, let's try rerunning our app and trying that one more time. And then we will send our app back to the background and drag and drop our push notification. And when we click on it, there we go. We got our response printed out. Very cool. So now with that setup, we are actually ready to go ahead and actually use the push notification to start navigating us in our app. So as you can see here, we get a response, and let's scroll up so we can see what all is in our response object here. So we get several different things, but one of the things that we get is the content from our sample push. And if you remember, we added a deep link setting here that has a URL. So let's go back to our main app and let's get this back down out of the way here. And now let's go ahead and see if we can access that URL. So we will say response.notification.request.content, and instead of the body we want our user info, and the specific key that we want to display is our deep link key that we created here. So we'll just copy and paste that right over here. And now whenever we run our app, we should be able to move our application to the background and drag and drop our push notification. And when we tap on it, we can see that we got our response that actually has our deep link here. Very cool. Now again, we're having to move our app to the background whenever we send push notifications because we actually didn't include the function in our application delegate that handles dealing with push notifications when our app is in the foreground. Obviously, for a production app, that's something that you want to go ahead and add here. But just for the sake of keeping the demo small and lightweight, I chose to not add that to our app delegate right now. All right, and so now that we know that we actually have our deep link and we're able to access it through this parameter, let's go ahead and let's say if our deep link equals our response.notification.content.userinfo for our deep link, and we don't actually want it as a URL. We want to see if there's a string there first, and then what we want to do is we want to check and see if we can create a URL from a string, and that string will be our deep link, just like that. And now we'll highlight this and press Ctrl+I to just line those up better. And there we go. Now, if you didn't know that you could actually do this, you can actually do multiple checks, and this is actually checking and assigning both for our deep link and for our URL. So if both of these things are true and it can create both of them, then we want to try to access our app, and we want to try to access the navigation manager, and then we want to handle that URL that we got inside of the deep link from our push notification. Very cool. And now we don't need this print statement anymore, so let's go ahead and let's select that and get rid of it. And so now our deep link, just as a reminder, is going to link us to dog number 9. So let's go ahead and let's rerun our app. And then whenever we send our app back to the home screen and drag and drop our push notification, if we click on this push notification, very cool, we are navigated to dog number 9. And with that, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And if you leave a comment, just be nice about it. That's all I ask. Thanks. Have a great day.